Hey, what's up, guys? I had a guy reach out to me and say, hey, I'm looking at adding on additional services to my lawn care business. I've pretty much maxed out on my mowing. I've got a couple guys working with me, and I want to do a little bit of landscaping stuff. What do you recommend I get? Like, should I get a dump trailer? Like, do I need to go all in, invest into a mini skid? And I want to kind of speak into that a little bit because that's kind of the route that I've taken here at my company. We didn't go and just keep mowing. There's a few reasons for that. But I want to kind of speak into like what are some of the tools that you should like really consider purchasing and getting a hold of if you're going to get into more of a landscaping type service. Now again, this is not me advising you that you need to go get into landscaping. This is where you've already made the decision, you've ran the numbers and say, hey, this makes sense for us to get into landscaping instead of continuing to grow our mowing stuff. So the first thing that I would say that you really need to be looking at a 3/4 ton vehicle for landscaping work. Once you start pulling around rock and you start pulling around mulch, like heavy mulch, and you start pulling around dump trailers, you're going to rag that half-ton out. And frankly, there's a reason you see most landscaping companies with a 3/4 ton pickup or a 1-ton pickup. It's because that's what they're meant for. The suspension, their payload, and then just their transmission, just everything is built for towing heavy materials, which in landscaping, like that is the name of the game. Like you are moving product. Number 2 would be a dump trailer would be the next thing that I would be looking at because man, you got to have it. It's one of those things again where if you're moving material back and forth, or you're loading material up, from a job site, going to the dump and dumping that stuff by hand, it's a freaking nightmare. Being able to dump rock or being able to dump dirt and mulch, like it is like. Once you have a dump trailer, it's one of those things that you're like, how in the world did I do this type of work without it? So if you're seriously considering getting into landscaping, like I'm going to say, hey, you need to go ahead and save up money because a dump trailer is just, to me, it's like a dump trailer is like having a 0-turn lawnmower for lawn mowing. Like it's like it's the standard. You have to have it. What size? That is for you to decide. I'm just telling you that if you're going to be getting into landscaping, I'd be looking at a 3/4 ton truck or higher, and then you need a dump trailer. Next, and this one may be a little bit controversial, but you need a material handler of some sort, okay? Whether that be a mini skid steer, a full-size skid, a mini excavator, just depending on what type of work you're doing. Once we picked up our mini skid, it was just like, dude, it does the work of like 4 or 5 guys in like half the time. It saves labor. Now, understand those things are super expensive in the beginning. And like, look, you can take wheelbarrows and shovels and do the same thing and dig out plants and stuff. But at the end of the day, like if you're doing sod work, you've got to have a machine to do that type of work, like period. So you can get by with renting as needed. But again, if you are going all in on landscaping, what I would recommend you do is get a hold of a piece of machinery that may be relatively, used, but a mini skid, you have to remember, it is just a tool hauler. That's all it is. Like you need something to move dirt, to move earth, okay? But the beauty of those machines is that they carry attachments. So whether you're needing to have an auger to put in plants, like you have a concrete bar to break up concrete, like a stump bucket to dig out stumps, you want a Harley rake, a soil cultivator, a land plane, like you name it. Like they have a tool for literally everything. So if you're getting into landscaping, I would say, hey man, like you really need to be looking at some type of a material handler of your own. You can rent, but if this is something that you're going to be doing like day in and day out, take it from me. You just have to bite the bullet and spend the money and get a hold of a material handler. Next is I would invest in a product that accurately measures the type of material that we need. I've used wheels in the past, and you guys know that I've done videos on Moser in the past. They've actually released a new product, Moser 2. You can do the measuring wheel thing. Like you can do that. But what I would do, like knowing what I know now since I've used that tool, it's like I will never go out and do a lawn without having that tool with me. And look, man, like you're talking hundreds and hundreds of dollars whenever you mess that up. Like there was one occasion I messed it up by like 3 pallets of sod just because it was so irregular shape. I wanted to make sure we had enough. We ended up with 3 pallets extra. That's always just $250 a pop, man. That was $750. That was just like I didn't have to spend. So then I'm like tasked with like trying to get rid of that material at the end of the job, and it's like, oh my gosh, like they've solved this problem. Like, it's a solved problem. Knowing what I know now, I would definitely have one of those things in my tool bag. I do not go out and do sod jobs or sod estimates, really, or any type of measuring without that tool. Like always, there is a link down in our description. They got a new Moser 2 out now that is like even more accurate than it was before. If you want a discount on that, they have given me a discount to share with you guys. But it's a product. If I was landscaping, 100% I would have it in the bag. Finally, before I would invest in getting a truck that could pull a dump trailer, getting a mini skid with attachments or some type of material hauler, getting your Moser or whatever all set, like before I got all that, I would make sure, like if I was starting landscaping, I would make sure that I knew how to press the button to get the phone to ring for landscaping type work. Look guys, the stuff that I just mentioned, like that stuff costs money. And like, that's one of the things about landscaping is like, dude, you're not just getting into this for like 10 or 15 grand like you can with a mowing setup. Like, you're going to have to buy it off. Like, you're going to have to spend some money. And my thing is like, hey, before you go and do all that, you have got to know, like, you've got to have your sales down, period. So whether you're really good at social media marketing, whether you have an email list of your current clients that you can continue to market to, whether you are on like the home advisors or the Nextdoor apps or just whatever it is, like whatever it is, you need to have confidence that whenever you invest in this equipment, that you have the phone ringing on landscaping type work. Because man, I'm telling you, I've seen it before. This is where lawn guys can go wrong. They got everything up and running with their lawn mowing. They want to go to the next thing, and then they end up biting off more debt that they can chew. And all of a sudden, it's like, holy cow, I have all these debt payments, and I don't have the work coming in to pay for all this equipment. Lawn mowing is easy. It's recurring revenue. Landscaping, you're constantly selling the next job. So you better know how to sell. You better know how to get the phone to ring for the next job. So I'm sure there's dozens of other tools that you could be looking at, but in essence, man, like I think if you're getting into landscaping, you really need to be looking at those 5 things. And I probably should have just led with like, hey, are you sure that you can get the phone to ring with landscaping stuff? After that, be looking at a 3/4 ton truck, some type of a dump trailer, a material handler, an accurate measuring tool to make sure that your estimates are going to be accurate. And man, I mean, you can really make good money in landscaping, but it is a risk. And if you're going to take that risk, make sure that you have the sales thing figured out.